Hello, friends. Welcome back to podcast number 2, where we are doing the, what is it called? The Couple Next Door by Shari. What's her last name? I don't know.
It's hard to pronounce. Lapena, I believe was her name.
Yeah. So that's the book we're doing today. And if you listen to our first podcast, you would know that.
This is true. Because we did announce it, and we're going to continue to announce the book we're doing next at the end, which we already have our next one in line. So get ready.
We sure do. We're so excited.
Find out what it is.
And to reintroduce ourselves, I'm Christina, or KP, or anything you want to call me is fine. And I live in Tampa, Florida, and I just like to read and drink.
And drink. What do you have? Is that tea?
It's tea. Yeah, it's lemon ginger tea.
I drank my tea earlier and I dressed it up real well. I was like listing off the ingredients to my sister-in-law, and I just kept going and going. But anyways, hello, I'm
Tell me about it. What was in your tea?
Hang on, and I'll tell you in 1 second. So I'm Melanie, and I'm in Georgia, and same, I just like to read. This is helping me get back into reading. We've knocked out 2 books in 2 weeks, which is amazing. So looking forward to continuing that. As far as what was in my tea, since it's a hot topic, that was really funny. So I did an Earl Grey tea. I put brown sugar, vanilla extract, pumpkin spice, a cinnamon stick, and oat milk.
Was that amazing?
It was
really
delicious. Yeah, it kind of made it like a chai vibe, because chai's like all those cinnamon and egg and stuff, all those flavors, but then it had pumpkin. It was so good. So,
that sounds delicious. Mine is just lemon tea with honey. Very basic.
That sounds pretty good too. You know what that sounds like? The medicine ball from Starbucks.
I've never had that. I don't go to Starbucks a lot. Sorry for viewers at home if you're Starbucks people.
It's fine. Okay, so let's see. We already said what book we read. To give a little bit of a synopsis of it, it was another kind of like murder mystery thriller kind of thing. This couple goes to a party next door. They couldn't get a babysitter, but they weren't allowed to bring their child, so they opted to just leave the baby at home sleeping, go to check on her every 30 minutes right before they're about to return home, or when they do go to return home, the baby's missing. The whole book is kind of just unraveling what happens, where the baby went, who has her, a whole bunch of stuff. And pretty much after this, it's going to be spoiler central. So if you have not read yet, go ahead and grab yourself a copy, listen to it, read it, do whatever, and then come back and chat with us.
Yeah. Or to listen to us chat, and you can chat along at home.
Yeah, exactly. You can yell at us if we don't answer how you want us to answer.
Please do. I would love that.
And then also, I just wanted to say a quick shout out to our first reviewer on Apple Podcasts. Both KP and I were super stoked. It was from someone named Geez Louise, and she left us such a sweet review, and we were both so happy. So we just wanted to give you a little shout out in our second episode here.
So, Geez Louise, we love you so much. It was great. Thank you so much for listening.
We love you.
All right, should we dive in?
Yeah, so we've got another list of questions pulled from good old Google, and it's going to help us kind of break down this book. So let's start with our first one. Do you want to read it?
Yeah. So like we said, we're doing The Couple Next Door. So the first question is, what is the title The Couple Next Door meant to suggest?
Sorry if you hear my dog barking in the background. By the way, there must be someone outside. Okay. So I kind of thought about this one a little bit. The rest of them I'm just going to wing. Couple Next Door. I was thinking it's pretty much probably talking about Cynthia, just because at the end of the book we find out that her and the father-in-law were in a relationship together. She's kind of in on the whole thing. like in my mind, they didn't directly say this, but I was like, oh, she planned, like they knew that he was going to steal the baby and come out the back door. So she planted that camera to like face that exact angle to catch him as he was coming out, you know.
Yeah.
I don't really necessarily see it as like the couple because I feel like it's mostly just Cynthia, unless like it's referring to like their neighborhood's view on Marco and Anne as a couple, I guess. There's like many different ways you can look at it.
Yeah, so I looked at it kind of two different ways. Like you said, like Cynthia being like the devil that she was, and then Anne and Marco like people just like looking in on them being like, yeah, the couple next door, like there's this big investigation, like I can't believe we live in a neighborhood like this, like that type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it can be perceived like many different ways.
Because there's a lot of couples doing a lot of crazy stuff.
All the crazy
All
things.
of the crazy. All right. So the next question. This book is told from multiple points of view. Was it well done? Was it effective? Why or why not?
I think that it was effective. I like books that do multiple points of views. Like I'm trying to think, like Jodi Picoult does that with a lot of her books, where you hear like everyone's different perspective of what's happening at the same time. And it's kind of like it makes it easier for me to picture it in my head because I'm seeing it from like a bunch of different angles from all the different perspectives. So I liked that a
Yeah,
lot.
I would agree. And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they have multiple perspectives even within one chapter? Like it wasn't necessarily like, oh, this chapter is for this specific person, which is really how Jodi Picoult does it. Like one chapter
Yeah.
is one person. But this one, I felt like it was very like seamless with the transitions between the people and felt very like real how she did it.
Yeah, because it was like I feel like a lot of books they go like back and forth between timelines, but this one they didn't really do that, but it was like Anne's perspective and then like those three dots and then Marco's perspective. So it's kind of like just hopping around, but I think she did it in a good way. Cuz sometimes with those types of books you can get so confused and you could be like what is happening? Like who's talking now? Like I don't understand.
Yeah, it was like, oh, like Marco leading up to coming into the police office, sitting down, and then oh, it switches to Detective Razback, and like he's the one that's interrogating him. So
Right.
I felt like it was really good.
Yeah. All right, so the next question is, and it's a long one. Here we go. It's challenging to keep suspense readers at the edge of their seat, but not drag out the twist so long that they get antsy or feel manipulated. Do you think the author did a good job of setting the right pace for the plot to move along? Did you like the pacing of this book? Too fast, too slow, or just right?
There were so many twists in this book. Like it almost felt like it had three endings. Like it could have stopped. Like halfway through the book, it revealed that Marco was involved, and normally that's like okay, that's the end of the book, like you found out who did it. But then there's this whole like extra half of the book where they just kept like revealing more and more of what happened, you know. The guy that he met with, you think someone else killed that guy that he met with and stole the money, and so now they have to go find this other person. Oh, then you find out that the father-in-law knew this guy, and then you find out that the mother knew about it, and then you find out that Cynthia knew about it, and it just like kept going and going and going. So I really felt like it was paced out very well, and um it wasn't like suspenseful, like oh, I'm on the edge of my seat necessarily, but it was still good and like effective.
Yeah, I think that the first half of the book was a little slow in my opinion, where I'm like, all right, like when are they getting to anything happening? They've been talking to this detective for like 45 years and nothing's happening. But yeah, like you said, when they said that Marco knew like the whole time and he was a part of it, it was like an onion. Like they kept just peeling back layers, and I was like, oh my God, like who, like is Anne the only one that doesn't know about this? Which
Cora
was the
kidnapped herself.
yeah, like did Anne kill the baby? No one knows.
That was another thing. Like they're talking about her postpartum depression this whole time and how she like blacks out and just like beats people up that like she did at school or whatever. And so you're like, oh, like, did she actually kill the child? Like,
Yeah. Well, and I feel like it was revealed to us really early into the book that the baby was not dead when she was taken out of the house. So towards the end, I'm like, this is so frustrating. Like, Anne just keeps saying that she killed the baby, but like the baby didn't die before the baby left the house.
I feel like there could have been more suspense with the part of the book that was like Marco being invited into Cynthia's and finding out that she had this video, and finding the phone in the house and then seeing him come out of Cynthia's house. Like that was very like, oh my gosh, wow, that's crazy. But I feel like it went like really quickly. And maybe I'm comparing it to the last book we did where there's this like whole thing with the cell phone, but I just felt like that could have been amplified a little bit more.
Yeah, because that essentially is the exciting part of the book when things like that happen. One of the points that I was like, oh my gosh, was when he picked up the cell phone and it was her dad. And I was like, or he made the call and her dad picked up. I was like, I knew he was evil, but like, what?
Gosh,
What is happening?
right? All right, so let's see. Imagine yourself in Anne's position. Would you have left your infant at home while going next door for dinner? Do you believe Anne is a good mother? And how do you define that?
So I think she is a good mother, but I would not have done that. Like I understand their logic of like nothing can happen if we go every 30 minutes to check on her. But like also when a baby's that young, like they can get tangled in their crib in their blanket and something bad can happen within 30 seconds.
Right.
So it's kind of like I think that she showed that she was a good mother by how much like reservation she had about it, but like in the end she ended up going and leaving her baby at home. So
How old was Cora? She was 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
So I don't know. This is okay. So how do you define a good mother? I mean, there's obviously like just the basics, like you keep your baby fed, you keep your baby like as best you can, right? Keep your baby
Hmm.
fed as best you can, you keep your baby clothed and warm and well slept, and that's just like the basic essentials. And then from there it's like everyone has different parenting styles, right? So
Yeah.
how I define a good mom is not going to be the same as how you or anybody else defines a good mom. And
Yeah.
that's a problem now, actually, because moms are like picked on so bad once they have children for not doing things the way other people want them to. So I'm just going to leave it at that. As long as you provide the basic necessities for your child and aren't like physically, mentally, emotionally abusing your child, like parent
Yeah.
them how you like.
It is so hard, and like there's no right way to parent your child. Like I think that a lot of the time in the book she was like, I'm overwhelmed, like I'm depressed, I don't know what I'm doing. And like I don't have kids, you don't have kids, but everyone that I know who's my age who has one or two kids now is like, yeah, when the baby was born I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like you take the baby home and there's no like handbook of like this is what you do.
Right.
So, which that's like so scary to me. I'm like, when I have kids, I'm gonna be like, I don't know, here, husband, like take the baby. I don't know, like that's so like scary.
Right. As far as leaving the baby at home, I think I would agree with you. I mean, it's so funny because I have like learned about sudden infant death syndrome and so much research. I have a niece that's 6 months, or she's 5 months old right now, so she's about to be 6 months soon. Um, and even like if someone's holding her where I think her face is going to be a little bit blocked, I'm like, oh my gosh, can she breathe? Like I'm so paranoid about that. So I would have just brought the baby with me. And if this girl was supposed to be my friend, like she would have let it happen.
Yeah. And I think like it showed a lot about her by saying like, yeah, the baby can't come. Like if you can't get a sitter, but it's like then she goes to the police and she's like, "Oh, I wish they told me like the baby could have come the whole time." And it's like, no, like no one wants to bring their child somewhere if you're going to make it like an awkward experience for them
Right.
to be there. Like why would someone spend their night doing that?
Yeah. All right. What is the next question?
Right. So it is, do you think that mothers put undue pressure on themselves to be seen as good moms? Do you think that some women's need to be seen as a good mom can cause them to fail to get help when they need it? Is trying to be a good mom a contributing factor in this book?
So we kind of already talked about the first part of this a minute ago. But as far as it contributing, being a contributing factor in the book, yeah, I think Anne like put a ton of pressure on herself to be the best mom for Cora that she could be. And um, as far as I'm talking about like failing to get help when they need it because they need to be seen this certain way, um, I mean, you could take it that way because then after all this happened, you know, I mean, she was seeing this psychiatrist, right? Um, so, I mean, she was getting help for these like blackout episodes that she has and stuff. So, I mean, I guess she was getting help anyway, even though she wanted to be seen that way. I mean, she didn't want to see a different psychiatrist once that other one had left, but that was kind of just in the mix of all this craziness that was unfolding in their lives. So, yeah, I mean, as a contributing factor, I mean, I don't really know how much it really played into it, but it was they tried to make it seem like she was trying to be a good mom. I don't know.
Yeah. So I would agree. I think that like in today's society, people like especially like first time moms see other moms and they're like how do they do it, like how are they able to like get everything done and get sleep and do this and do that. And I feel like the book took us on like emotional journey of like her just not having it together and like not being the super mom that she felt like she needed to be. Like when she talked about how the Cora wouldn't take the bottle and she would only take her breast milk from her breast. I was like, wow, like that must be like really hard when you're just trying to feed your baby a bottle and the baby's like, heck no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Like it's sad, but yeah, I think that I don't know. You kind of like mentioned mom shaming a couple of minutes ago. And I think that's like a huge thing right now. It's like moms are like, why aren't you doing this and why aren't you doing that? And this like is not the exact same situation, but did you see Chrissy Teigen's post last night about her miscarriage?
Yeah.
So there were people that were commenting saying like this is not how you're supposed to grieve. Like this is not how you're supposed to react. And it's like first of all, there's no one way to grieve losing a child. And to go on someone's account and post comments saying, like, you're not doing this right when they just poured their heart out about what they just went through, like, just leave it. Like, that is not welcome on anyone's social media page.
I have this kind of relates but kind of doesn't. Like it's not really about motherhood and stuff like that, but it's kind of about because I was just in the grocery store yesterday and for some reason when things like this happen, I think about them like for a long time. So my sister-in-law were in my sister-in-law and I were in the grocery store and we were going down an aisle and she and this other woman um, kind of did one of those like back and forth things where you're
Oh, like the
standing
swerve.
around each other. Yeah. And when she passed my sister-in-law, I was behind her and she made this like really nasty face. Um, yeah, and like did this like big huff and sigh. And you know, it just like ruins your whole day. Like, and that's just one person doing something like that. And you think like you mentioned with Chrissy Teigen, like people are commenting that, and I can't even imagine how many people are commenting that. Like, I don't know, like what benefit do you get from making people feel like that?
Yeah, and like people have said it in like the past, especially with like stardom, that like you could get like a million comments saying like you're amazing, you're doing great, this and that. But the one comment that's like, wow, you're like a really awful person. That's the one comment that they read and they're like, okay, like this is not okay.
Yeah.
And I get that because that's the same with like anyone, whether you're a star or not. It's easier to like take in like a comment of what you're doing wrong than like someone being like, "Oh, you're really good at this." You're like, "No, I'm not. Like I'm good." You know, it's just sad. It's sad.
Like criticism is fine when it's warranted, but this whole like tearing people down for no reason is nuts to me. But getting back on topic,
Yeah, getting back.
that's just
Little
a little life lesson for the day, fam. Okay, so the next question. The theme of leaving a child alone is a hot button topic in the media. These incidents have inspired outrage in some and understanding in others who can relate to making decisions that, in hindsight, were the worst possible decisions. How do you think the author was able to make Anne and Marco sympathetic enough that readers would empathize with them?
I I did not super empathize with Marco at the beginning. I did with Anne, but I'm like Marco like was okay with just like leaving the baby at home and doing this 30-minute thing where they checked back and forth. But, you know, showing that like Anne was never comfortable with it, I was like, okay, I like really sympathize with her that she knew that this was wrong. Whereas Marco like maybe didn't.
Yeah.
What do you
Um, gosh, I don't know. Okay, so like the first part of it talking about just leaving a child alone, like there's a difference between leaving your child alone for 30 minutes at a time, leaving your child alone in a hot locked car,
right.
other than like walking out of the room for a couple, like a minute or 2 minutes. Like, yeah, things happen very quickly, but sometimes you need to go to the bathroom and you're the only one home with your child, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And
um,
that's understandable. Yeah.
so I can totally understand that. Was she able to make them sympathetic enough? I mean, I don't know. I feel like at some points in the book, yes, but then like as certain things happened, like at the very end when Anne maybe killed Cynthia.
Yeah. Killed Cynthia.
I don't know. So it kind of went back and forth. I mean, same with Marco though, like in the very beginning, because obviously you don't know, like, oh, he did this to, you just think, oh, he did it to like get back at his in-laws and doesn't want to look bad. And you're like, okay, like the average person wouldn't do that. But then once
Yeah.
you find out it's like all a big setup and like, I felt so relieved when it talked about Razback being like, um, I was suspicious of the father-in-law like the whole time. I was like, oh, thank goodness, like someone else, even though he was so mean to Marco the whole time, like he still had that in the back of his mind.
Yeah, because the whole time I was like, I hate him. He's not doing anything to help them. He's the worst. But at the end, I'm like, okay, like he did it. He got it done.
There were so many moments when you're like, oh, just go to the police. Like,
So many, literally so many moments. And I'm like, why aren't we doing this? And like, what is happening here?
it's so hard to put yourself in the shoes though, because you're like, would I ever do that? Probably not. Hopefully not.
No, and I don't know about you, but like during a lot of it, I was like thinking about that couple like a few years ago. I think it was like 5 or 10 that left their daughter alone when they were on vacation. Do you remember that? It
No.
was like somewhere in the Caribbean. They were this couple from England, I think, and they left not just one child, but I think there were like 4 or 5 children, and the parents went to dinner, but they were doing like the checking every like 30 minutes. And at one point, one of the girls got kidnapped, and she was like 3. And like the whole time, I'm like thinking about this because when that happened, I was like, what is wrong with these parents? Like, you couldn't have like ordered food and like brought it back to the room. You couldn't have woken the kids up and brought them to dinner. and they've never found her until this day.
Wow.
She there's a thing on Netflix about it. Her name I think is Madeline McCain, and yeah, they never found anything.
Wow. Yeah,
No one ever.
that sounds very similar to this.
Yeah, it was like so similar.
Okay. Are you the next one? I believe so.
Yes, but I'm like looking it up to make sure that was her name.
Okay.
Oh, Madeline McCann.
Okay.
Oh, they were in Portugal. Yeah, it was very sad.
Hmm.
Um, okay. The pressed hound, Anne and Marco camping outside their door and assaulting them with questions. Do you think this type of media hype is justified in the name of news? Does excessive news coverage provide any type of benefit?
Hmm. I will say yes, it provides a lot of benefit because the picture of your missing child is going out maybe all over the country. And nowadays with all of the sex trafficking and kidnappers, like your child can be on a plane in an hour and be gone. So
Yeah,
like the fact that it was probably being like broadcast all these places, hopefully, um, someone is bound to recognize them, right? Someone's bound to have seen something. And like they found out their neighbor had seen this car pulling out of their driveway.
right.
Um, so yeah, I definitely think that there is a benefit to it, even though there's like so much, I don't know, the media is very, I don't know. It's like you love to hate it.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think the media does a good job in the sense of getting the parents' messaging out. Like if there's like money that they're gonna make as a reward, that might incentivize the kidnapper or whoever they're looking for to come forward. But I think like I don't know, I don't feel like a lot of real cases like they show a ton of like things with the parents. I think they just go over the same information from the case like over and over again.
Right. Yeah. So like and maybe I've just never seen a lot of news, which I have. I feel like I have like news about kids going missing and stuff. Like I didn't mean news in general. I mean like specific
Like I've never seen the news.
news in the news. But about like specifically kids going missing, but I feel like I have, and I feel like they mostly just put like their picture and some descriptive factors and a number to call. Like I don't know that I've ever specifically seen a message from the parents or like a recording of them talking, um like maybe on Facebook or something if it's been like shared like that. Or also I was thinking when you were just talking about the reward, like is that something that actually happens? And do people actually like go for that? Like do kidnappers, they're like, oh man, like $5 million, and not think they're gonna go to jail when they get caught?
Yeah, because I think like not in real life that we know of, but in a lot of books, it's like, oh, they kidnapped them for ransom. And it's like, but are you going to get away with this? Probably not.
Right.
But I agree with you. I think the only time I've ever seen like a parent come forward and make a statement was back when Elizabeth Smart got kidnapped. Like I remember her dad did like some sort of like press conference about it, but besides that, I you don't really see the parents like coming forward and like saying anything
Right.
that I
And I'm sure like it's got to be really, really hard. So that's
yeah.
understandable if they don't. Um, okay. How do you think Anne's postpartum depression affected the book?
I think at some point they like wanted us to think that she was crazy and that she did kill her baby because she kept bringing up like how she like blacks out when all this stuff happens, and I was like, "Oh, maybe she did shake the baby or like did something to the baby." But I mean, I think it's like a good topic that they put into the book because it's so common these days.
Yeah. But the other thing is like, did she have postpartum depression, or was it just,
Was she just crazy?
well, 'cause she's been having these like episodes since she was little, right? And um she had been seeing the, I mean, obviously it could have been like and in addition to this other thing that she had. But um yeah, I agree with you. Like, I think that they just kind of like brought it up and mentioned it in the book, and it was good for them to do that, but I don't necessarily think that that specifically affected the book a lot. Like, it was more her blackout episodes and all the other stuff that was going on with her.
Yeah, like a point in the book where I was like, I like really sympathized with her was when she was like, I went to check on her, but like, I don't know if she was breathing. Cause I'm like, that is so scary. Like going and like thinking about it after and thinking, like, was the baby even breathing? Like when I went in, like, yeah, her body was there, but like, was she okay?
Yeah.
Crazy. All right, the next one. At one point, Anne doesn't know if she killed her own child. Do you believe she's capable of that? Why or why not? How horrible would it be not to know something like that?
What a great segue for you. You just talked about that. Let's see. She doesn't know if she killed her own child. Do you think she's capable of that? As we all read the end of the book, yes, she is very capable of that. Um, yeah, and it was given evidenced by multiple things that they talked about. Her beating up that girl when she was in school, her likely killing Cynthia, the other episodes they talked about her having throughout her life. Um, yeah, she's definitely capable. Why are we not? Just talked about that. How horrible would it be not to not wait? How did you read that? How horrible would it be not to know something like?
Not to know if you did that or not.
Yeah, it would feel terrible. Like, it's because like obviously she doesn't. It's like an out of body experience for her when she does this stuff. Like, to just think about that after the fact that you killed your own child. Like, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I agree. I think she was very capable of killing the baby. Do I think she would have? I don't think so. It seems like all of her episodes were when she was like having moments of rage, which I don't think they ever like showed her having a moment of, well, besides slapping the baby, that was a moment of rage.
The Cynthia thing was kind of too.
Yeah, the Cynthia thing was like definitely a moment of rage where I was like, "Ooh, you should like be scared a little bit."
Hmm. All right. Of all the people involved in the kidnapping, who do you think was the most guilty and the least guilty?
Her dad was the most guilty. He was terrible. He was a bad person. He was cheating on his wife. He just wanted the money. He literally was just like ruining everyone's life just to get what he wanted.
Yep. So let's see who all was involved. Richard, the father-in-law, was involved. Cynthia was involved. Marco was involved, and then that other guy was involved.
And didn't Alice know about it?
She
Or she found out later.
found out from the private investigator.
Yeah. So I think that the least guilty or yeah, the least guilty would be Marco because he was like literally brainwashed into doing this.
I agree. Yeah, because I was like between him and the guy that actually like drove to the house and took the baby and then got murdered. But he still agreed with Richard to like do this in the first place. So yeah, I would agree that Marco was the least guilty, even though he looks the
Yeah.
most guilty throughout the whole first part of the book.
Yeah, he looks very guilty throughout the entire book, but at the end I'm like, "You know what? I kind of want him to like be free and live his life."
Yep. All right, what's next?
Why does Anne stay with Marco even after everything she's learned? Would you? Is it possible to build trust again after that type of betrayal?
Hmm. I mean, they've both got their own demons. Like, does he doesn't know about her little blackout episodes and stuff, right? Um, Obviously that's a little bit different. He kidnapped their child, but um, I don't know. I feel like they're kind of sickly, like meant to be together. And it almost seems like this whole thing maybe brought them closer together, like pre Cynthia being murdered. It seemed like they were like because the whole time it's like, oh, the in-laws don't like him. There's this like back and forth. She wants to leave him and go back to her parents' house. They have the money. She doesn't know he's doing bad with his business. Like it's kind of this tug of war thing. And then finally, she like other than her mom and his mother-in-law, like she kind of was like, all right. Um, at the
And
end,
like
like,
he was so desperate. Like he was so desperate for money, and like that doesn't justify what he did. But like literally like I felt like so sad for him because like all he wanted was to be like the successful husband with a good company and a good job and this and that, and like he was not living up to any of the expectations that people were setting for him at all.
while neither was the father-in-law because his business was going down the drain too, and he needed money.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
oh my gosh, this guy is terrible. Like, God, Richard, you suck.
Richard, we hate you.
Richard, we hate you. You can't sit with us.
Nope.
Okay. What do you think about the ending of the book?
I
Did you look and see if there was a sequel? Because I really wanted to know if there was a sequel.
I didn't. Is there?
I didn't I didn't immediately find anything. I just saw her other books and kind of read through the descriptions, but I couldn't find one.
I what did I think of the ending of the book? I was very happy that the stepfather got what he had coming and she was able to confront Cynthia. But like I was very worried for her when Marco walked into the house and she was just like holding the knife. Like I'm like, girl, you like
I was worried for Marco.
oh, you thought she was gonna kill Marco?
Well, she was like kind of raging on Cynthia just
Oh,
a second ago.
girl. But
I
I'm
was
like, after all of this, you're gonna go to jail for killing Cynthia. Like, was that worth it?
Yeah, it was kind of ironic where it was Marco's point of view and it was like, oh, this is finally all over, like our life can get back to normal. And then meanwhile, his wife is, just stabbing Cynthia dead.
And like the book made it seem like when he was coming home, he said like whoever is on that stretcher is like definitely dead. But I was thinking like maybe like she's not dead. Like maybe like
But the face was covered.
oh yeah, that usually means you're
And I
probably
was shook when it said a lock of like dark brunette hair or something fell out because I did not picture Cynthia as a dark brunette, which is why I was like, oh my gosh, did Anne get killed?
I know. Yeah. I did not think it was Anne. I think Anne did something bad. And she did. She did something real bad.
Yep.
All right. What do you think is going to ultimately happen to Anne, Cora, and Marco?
Marco, I don't think is going to jail because they gave him that bargain or whatever to tell everything that he knew. Cora, I think, is going to be fine. I think Marco and Cora are going to go live happily ever after somewhere, and Anne is going to be in prison.
So, yeah, I would agree. I think Marco and Cora are going to be fine. I think like Cora, I don't know, might have to like go to therapy later in life if she has the same issues like her mom.
Yeah.
I think Anne is not in jail, and I think she's in like a psychiatric hospital
Sure.
because
I was thinking like prison, but also getting treated.
yeah, that chick is crazy.
No offense, but
No, much offense. That chick is
no
crazy.
offense. All right. So this is the last of the pre-written questions. Then we'll go to our what will be our every.
Special questions.
Did you find yourself flip-flopping back and forth between Anne and Marco, siding with one and then the other? And who do you find yourself siding with the most?
I did not find myself siding with Marco very much. I was on Team Anne like most of the book. And I was just thinking like how could Marco like get into the situation where he's like screwed up his life so royally, you know?
I mean, I don't know. I guess Anne, what did she really do? Like, I feel like she was kind of just there, like, very distraught. Meanwhile, I mean, other than the one time she went to the police, like, I killed my child, and Detective Rasback's like, no, you didn't.
Which was like a nervous breakdown, which she didn't kill her child. So she went there confessing something that didn't happen.
So I don't know. I feel like he, like, even though he did all that in the beginning, he quickly realized, like, oh shit, I made a mistake. I need to fix this and get my child back, and like really put in effort to try and do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, he didn't involve the police because I guess he was still scared about going to prison and stuff, which he should have been. But I feel like it all worked out in the end. And I don't know, I felt like when they kicked Marco out at the end, out of the parents' house, and made like she stayed there with her parents, I felt so bad for him. So I feel like I ended up siding with Marco for the most part.
Yeah, the end was really sad. When she said that she didn't know the guy that her stepdad was friends with, I was like, are we like actually joking right now? Like, are you gonna be this girl that's like so dumb
Right.
that you're gonna like set your husband up for this?
It ended up being good though. And that's one of the reasons I said I think it brought them closer together, because she did that to like kind of protect him, you know?
Yeah.
All
So
right.
that is the end of our questions, but we have more. So don't fret, party people.
Don't
There's more coming.
If you want to know what we think these characters look like, here we go.
Here we go.
So I want to start with Richard because it might just be the name, but I literally picture him as the grandpa from Gilmore Girls.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm not even kidding. The entire time I was like, these are the grandparents from Gilmore Girls, and
Mhm.
like I hate them.
Yep.
I can't believe you said that. Like you're a mind reader.
We just think the same thing. It's fine.
We have the same brain.
Uh,
Um, so crazy. Okay, so yeah, that's how I pictured him too.
Detective Rasback, I kind of picture him as this like short man in a blue suit with like buzzed hair, and he's like unique looking. He's not like average. He's definitely unique. Like with the name Rasback, like you have to have some unique features to you.
I have to have some Raz.
Yeah.
My Raz.
What do you think about him?
I pictured him kind of like a New York cop. Like I feel like most of the time he was like being pretty tough on everyone. So I pictured him being like kind of like a tough guy that like did not crack easily. But then when he came in on Sunday during the book and they were like, yeah, he was in like a beach shirt.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, maybe he's not like this tough guy. I don't know. I pictured it like a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah. I really enjoyed with him that they kind of yeah, he was like tough with everyone, but when it went into his personal thoughts, it allowed you to kind of see his personality and stuff.
Yeah, right.
All right. And I it's so funny because I feel like you're supposed to picture the main characters like very well, but I don't. Like, to me so far they're all average. Like there's nothing special about them.
Yeah, I pictured Anne as like, and it's funny because in this book versus the first one we did, this book like described their characteristics a lot more, but it like didn't, I like still didn't like, it didn't align with what I was thinking.
I
So I
never
think,
Even if they say that stuff, I never remember it because they'll say it once and then they never address it again. And it's normally in the very beginning of the book.
yeah,
So it just goes away from my mind and I think whatever I think about them.
right. I pictured Anne like short, kind of like chubby with like dark hair, like a short like bob haircut, like a straight bob.
I could see that. I think I like kind of imagine her as like same, a little bit pudgy because you talked about that insecurity of hers like when they were going next door, and I feel like I guess a little frumpy in a way, like how she dresses and stuff, just because she talked about, like how well Cynthia dressed, and she just compared herself a lot to her. So I feel like
Yeah.
she was very um, insecure about herself, but also she didn't really try to
To
look
fix anything.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. Cynthia, like I said, I was really shocked about her having like, because did they say like jet black hair or something? Like, it was something very like striking that
Oh yeah. I think it was like jet black hair, but that's not how I pictured her
oh,
at all.
I totally pictured her as like Real Housewives, like blonde, all done up, like always wearing high heels.
Yeah, I pictured her similar, but as a ginger. I don't know why I always like make these villain characters like gingers.
Red hair.
Nothing against the ginger community. You all have souls. You're all great. We love you. But yeah, I just thought like, but yeah, they did mention a lot that she was like very well dressed and she always was dressed up. So that like, yeah.
Like, oh, like your dress down days, you're walking around the house in like designer jeans and high heels, not like sweatpants and a baggy t-shirt.
And who does that? Like, who does that? I would love to go into like millionaires' houses during quarantine and like see like, are you wearing like nice clothes? Are you wearing like a Target shirt?
Oh my goodness.
All
All right,
right, so here we go.
last is the rating. Drum
No,
roll.
we didn't talk about Marco.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about. Oh, I
I'm
just
like, Marco, here we go.
like I said before, they're just average to me. Like he's like a brunette guy, short hair, average build. That's about it.
I pictured him very attractive.
All right.
Like I pictured him as like because they mentioned that he was like an Italian man. So I like pictured him with like dark hair, darker like skin tone, very attractive. Tall, dark, and handsome.
I can dig it. I'm going to try and pay more attention to their descriptive factors next time. Because also, I'm hearing it, I'm not reading it. So I have to like key into that. But I'm going to try and think about it.
You should. And then we can discuss for the next one.
All right. So your rating out of 5, go.
So I think that I would rate this book like a 3.4. It like I said, it like started off a little slow. And but then towards the end when it started to get more exciting, I still was like, all right, like what's gonna happen? Like I feel like the first book we read, I was like so on the edge of my seat the whole time. And then this book I'm like, okay, like I want more action.
That's funny. Okay. So you rated the last one higher than I did.
Yeah.
Also read that one faster than I did. And
Yeah.
the entire thing's kind of flipped. So I read this one faster than you. I won't give it like super high. I would say like a solid 4 probably. Uh,
Yeah.
like I enjoyed it a lot. And I liked that, like, yeah, the last book had kind of a twist ending at the end, but this one was like unpacking a whole lot.
There was a lot going on in this book.
I would give it a 4. And we have a little chart where we list all of our books, and I just average out our 2 scores to get our overall rating. So the last
You're
one,
such a nerd.
I
I
know,
love
just math and all that good stuff.
I'm like math, like I don't understand. That's
Math,
why I have a calculator, people.
so is she. We don't know her. All right. So that's gonna be pretty much all of our stuff for that book. Overall, it was pretty good. I would recommend giving it a read if you want a mystery thriller type book.
Yeah, I liked it. And I think I would read some of her other books. I
Yeah,
think she's a good writer, the way that she did everything.
yeah. I would definitely read some more of hers. And let's see. Thank you all for waiting till the end to hear what our next book is going to be.
Woo!
KP has chosen this one off of our running list that we have. And it is going to be The Guest List by Lucy Foley.
Woo!
Woo. So go ahead, read that synopsis, plot synopsis, see if you are interested, read it along with us. We're kind of willy-nilly about when we're doing these. It's kind of like when we both finish it and then we have a second to come on here and chat with each other. So I don't know
Yeah.
if we're going to ever have a set day. It's just going to come out when it comes out. But
And the next one might be IRL in real life. Melanie and I might be together to do our next one, but we shall see.
we will maybe sit 6 feet apart. We'll see.
Probably not.
Probably not. All right. Let's see. So I just wanted to mention again really quick. If you have any like book recommendations, you have any questions you want us to answer about the next book, email us. Our email is literaryladiespod@gmail.com.
You
And
want to be a guest star? Come on. We want to meet you,
if
people.
you want to come on here and chat with us, let's go. Um,
Yeah.
And also let us know if we should make an Instagram. We're really thinking about it, trying to grow this little bookworm community, getting more people interested and letting them check it out and read the books with us.
Yeah. And if you like this, I mean, we're the literary ladies. So, like, tell your friends who like books about this, and
Like,
maybe they might like it too.
what a great thing would it be to like get a group of your friends together, all read the book with us, and then have your own discussion. Like, hear the questions that we ask, pause it, talk about it, and then listen to what we have to say about it. If you don't want to listen to what we say about it, skip to the next question.
Like, we're all friends, but not yet.
We're just virtual friends. It's fine.
I mean, we're in a pandemic. We can't be in-person friends. Plus, like, when are you ever gonna have the chance to like meet someone like in California who bonds over the same books as you do? So
We're
let's get
all about
open, people.
growing this little fam, and that's what it's about.
Yeah. And that is all, folks.
That's all, folks. Yeah, so thanks for listening to Literary Ladies episode 2. Next book, like I said, is going to be The Guest List by Lucy Foley, so give it a read, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.